Well, exactly 6 months after then President Yoon Suk Yeol declared martial law, South Koreans are today heading to the polls to elect his replacement. Our East Asia correspondent Kathleen Calderwood filed this report from Seoul.
Presidential candidates are in the final throes of campaigning here in South Korea. The latest polls have the opposition leader, Lee Jae-myung of the Democratic Party, as the favourite. One of the final published polls before a blackout period showed that Lee had 49% of public support, followed by Kim Moon-soo of the Conservative People Power Party with 35%, and the New Reform Party's Lee Jae-myung on 11%. Now, this, of course, all started 6 months ago when the former president, now impeached Yoon Suk Yeol, declared martial law late at night before lifting it only 6 hours later. Now, what's followed was weeks of protests, his eventual impeachment by the parliament. He then holed up in his presidential residence for more than a week before being arrested. In April, the Constitutional Court upheld the parliament's impeachment of Yoon Suk Yeol, and he is still facing a trial for insurrection as well as abuse of power charges. So, of course, this election is being seen as a referendum on Yoon Suk Yeol and his People Power Party. More than a third of eligible voters have already taken part in early voting, which is the second highest number on record. But it's happening too in an increasingly insecure global environment, and the economy and the country's relationship with the United States are also on the minds of voters.
굉장히 되게 불안한.
I was very worried about everything and uncomfortable for the future of Korea and our kids, that we're going backwards. We had black days before, so I was very worried about everything.
탄핵 계엄은 정당했습니다.
What President Yoon did when declaring martial law was a very logical and appropriate thing. He had no other choice. But then afterwards, what happened, his impeachment, shouldn't be happening.
The campaign itself has been far from smooth. Firstly, Yoon's party, the People Power Party, seesawed on exactly who it wanted to put forward as the presidential candidate, and the party's failed to separate itself from Yoon, who has endorsed the presidential candidate Kim Moon-soo. On the other hand, the opposition leader Lee Jae-myung, his candidacy was briefly thrown into doubt after the Supreme Court overturned an earlier ruling clearing him of election law violation. Now, the retrial for that has been postponed until after the election. This saga has also brought up painful memories of South Korea's authoritarian past and exposed deep divisions in South Korean society. The opposition leader Lee has had to campaign behind bulletproof glass after surviving an assassination attempt last year. So whoever does become the next president will have to work urgently to heal those wounds here in South Korea.